George R.R. Martin's A Game of Thrones, Douglas Adams' A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Donna Tartt's The Secret History might seem like very different books, but they all have one crucial thing in common: a great prologue which hooks the reader into the story. But how do you write a great prologue that captures your reader's attention? I'm Jack from Proof. And in this video, I'm going to share some top tips for writing a great prologue. Firstly, I'm going to share 3 tips for making your prologue the best it can be. After that, we'll explore some of the reasons why you might want to include a prologue in your story. 3 top tips for writing a prologue. Firstly, don't use the prologue as an info dump. Secondly, keep it short and keep the reader interested. Thirdly, leave your prologue until the end of your drafting process. Let's look at how these tips can make a difference. Beware the info dump. The biggest mistake authors make when writing a prologue is to make it an info dump. To keep readers engaged, there are 2 key principles to keep in mind when writing your prologue. Firstly, only include information that enhances your main story. There's no use including a detail if it doesn't add to the reader's experience. Secondly, follow the show don't tell rule, so that you use the words, actions, and thoughts of your characters to set up the story, rather than just explaining to the reader what is going on. Keep it short. Ideally, you want to focus on 1 or 2 intriguing scenes that set up your story. A long prologue that introduces too much backstory or too many plot points can be really confusing and will detract from your main narrative. Write your prologue last. Although the prologue will be the first thing your reader sees, it doesn't need to be the first thing you write. It often makes sense to leave the writing of your prologue until last. Doing this means you'll have the rest of your story already worked out, and this means that you will know what you need to set up in order for the prologue to have maximum impact on readers. Where prologues are really useful is for providing information that doesn't naturally fit into the main body of your story. Probably the most common use of a prologue is to set up the main story. The prologue of Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, which features a knight, a monk, and a priest being cursed by the lover of a man they've just executed, is a great example of this. As well as introducing the reader to the story world and medieval setting, it also sets the mood and gives important backstory to the narrative that follows. I already mentioned how important it is for your prologue to be engaging, because it's the first part of your novel that anyone will read. A great way to do this is to hint at what's coming in the main story. The aim here would be to set up an intriguing scenario and make the reader ask, how did we get here? Many novels do this by using the prologue for a flashback. You could even end your prologue on a cliffhanger, leaving the reader to wonder what happened next. If done well, this will hook their interest and inspire them to keep reading. Using the prologue to introduce your narrator or protagonist is fine, but a more interesting way to use the prologue perhaps would be to introduce a new perspective on your story. Vladimir Nabokov does exactly this in the prologue to Lolita, which is written from the perspective of the psychiatrist analysing Humbert, who is the narrator and protagonist of the story. Since the rest of the novel is written in first person, it also provides a different perspective on our main character. Whether you're writing a novel right now or just planning one, check out the resources I've linked in the description, which cover advice on novel writing, from picking the perfect title to writing a cliffhanger ending. And subscribe to the channel for more writing tips every week. Your writing, proof.